All right, guys, hopefully I can help somebody else out before you do as much work as I do. I have this little Kubota BX2660, and it's a good little tractor. It's a little bit hard to use around where I'm at because there's so much rock. Where I was at before, without all the rock, it did just about anything I'd ask of it. Might take a little bit longer than a bigger tractor, but it was good for getting in between the trees and everything. So I really like it, and it's a good little tractor. It's pretty dependable, but it's got this hydraulic leak. That it's running out of hydraulic fluid. The last couple times it was leaking pretty bad. So I was online looking, and it said that the O-rings on the hoses go bad underneath the battery, and it said you need to remove the deck. So I got all the nuts and bolts out of the deck, and the last ones that I was doing were under the battery. There's a plastic cover that has bolts that go down in here. So those are the last bolts I was doing because I started out underneath it to get the deck off. And as you can see, I've loosened up all the bolts to take the deck off. Well, it turns out I really didn't need to do that. There's a manifold underneath the battery, and I'm assuming that these lines are the hoses that they're saying should be replaced and should be upgraded, and that's why I would have needed to take the deck off. I don't know if they fixed it before my model year came out or what, but they're metal lines. They're not hoses. They're not braided hoses like they were talking about online. And this right here, there's I don't know, bolt in the valve is what was leaking, and I'm assuming there's a bad O-ring in there. So I'm going to pull it apart and make sure that that's what it is, and then I'll replace the O-ring. The way I was able to tell which one it was I got in there with some paper towels and cleaned it all off because it was all pretty dirty, and then I turned the tractor on and started moving the bucket around back and forth, up and down, until I saw one of that was oozing fluid. So it was this one, and I'm going to pull it out and replace the O-ring and put it all back together. But I wasted time and effort taking all the nuts and bolts off of the deck, and it wasn't necessary. So before you guys do that, check and see if this was your problem. That way you don't have to do all of that work that I just did. Anyway, that's all, and hopefully it helps somebody out. Talk to you later. Okay, so I got the bolt, or the little valve, unscrewed, and one more problem I've run into here is the battery box, which is pretty integral to the whole. It's bolted everywhere, so I can't undo it. It's bolted up there and holds the dash up. It's bolted down to the frame. It's bolted to each other. You can't really get it off very easily. Is in the way. I can't lift that out to replace that O-ring, which you can see is damaged. You can see how it's squished and torn there. So my new plan, so that I don't have to take the whole tractor apart, is I have what looks to be a decent size, looks to be a similar size O-ring here. I am going to cut the old O-ring off, and I'm going to stretch this one over the top and put it in there, and then tighten it down and see if I can get it to quit leaking that way, so that I don't have to take the whole tractor apart. So that's my new plan. A little bit of an oaky rigged plan there, but I feel like it's something my grandpa would have done, so why shouldn't I? Okay, so there's the old one that I pulled off, and there's the new one. Looks about the right size. So now I'm going to go in here and try to stretch this over this. I think I probably need both hands, so I'm going to have to put the camera down, but I'll show you after I get it on there. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. Looks like it fits in there pretty good. I will get a little bit of this oil on my finger here. Oil it there so that hopefully it doesn't get pinched when I bolt it down. And then because I'm low on hydraulic fluid in the tractor, I'll have to top it off, get her running again, make sure that she doesn't leak. And I'll show you after I get it bolted back. All right, looks like it did the trick. I had it running, moving the bucket all over the place. It's bone dry. Before it was just oozing out right there where that O-ring was. Hopefully this will do it. So it's nice and dry. I didn't see any oil coming out. I'll try it a few more times before I put the cover back on there, and just make sure that it's all taken care of. But it was a pretty simple fix after all, and I wish I hadn't looked online first, because I probably would have just taken that cover off to see what was going on in there, and that's exactly what I should have done instead of pulling all the bolts out of the deck. So anyway, try that first, guys. Bye.